Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun, as always, is my brother in podcasting, Reed. Hey. You did that in the first episode? You did that in the trailer or the first episode, I think?
It's just going to be my thing now.
Yeah, and I was just like, what is he doing? And now I understand. It took me a few listens, and then I realized that you were trying to be like a gruff like supernatural hunter.
I'm brooding.
Yeah. Hey. No, this is season 1. You could be like, hey.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Hey, stop it.
I should have a voice change over time. Man.
Yeah, that's really how you nail it. by the last season, we're like. This episode has everything you want. It's got douchebags getting hooked to death.
Yeah.
It's got more hooks. It's got a lot of library and religious pretenses.
It's got Bulldog from Frasier.
Most importantly, the Bulldog himself. Just doing what he does best.
Yeah, preaching.
All right, let's get into it.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts! We're others, we're not! We're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare! We're facing dread! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless! We're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing episode number 7, Hookman. It's not a man who sells his body on the streets.
No, but he's a guy that just writes really tasty jams you could play during a chorus or something.
Oh man, I've got this really great beat. I've really got these 2 verses. I just need something to tie it all together.
I've got a hook man for you. The hook brings it. Fucking Blues Traveler.
This episode aired.
Do they use Blues Traveler in this? I know I'm jumping ahead of it, but that's a missed opportunity to use the hook by Blues Traveler
in Hookman. Yeah,
Hookman.
I mean that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. What a
woo.
Or Dr. Hook.
Yeah, it could use Dr. Hook.
Yeah, absolutely. What a missed opportunity on multiple counts. This episode aired October 25th, 2005. What?
2005, when we thought the worst thing that could happen was some obscure Iraq war.
Yes. when we thought that was the worst president we could ever have in America.
Yeah, my God.
Written by John Shiban, a name we've known because he wrote the previous episode.
Right.
And directed by David Jackson, director of the 1986 The Equalizer and Miami Vice movies.
Do you know what? I actually kind of like The Equalizer.
The first one? The original? Not the 1986 one and not...
Oh, he directed that one?
Yeah, the 1986 The Equalizer.
Oh, hot damn. Well, I mean, that's the good one, but I was actually about to be an apologist for the Denzel one.
Oh, no, that one's great. It's the second one that sucks.
Yeah.
The first one's great. The first. I mean,
so sorry. This director did the first Equalizer,
the original.
Oh shit, that's dope.
And the Miami Vice movie,
the
1986 Miami Vice movie.
They made a movie of Miami
Apparently.
Vice? Oh,
and this guy did it.
Other than the Colin Farrell,
yes,
modern,
no, absolutely. This episode was viewed by an estimated 5.08 million viewers.
Nice.
Yeah, great. And the TV guide description is: the brothers hunt the Hookman, a spirit with a hook for a hand, after the creature kills a frat boy while he's in a car with his date, Jay McGregor.
Frat boy, no big loss.
Yes.
Looks like there's nothing here for us, Sammy.
Yeah.
just roll right on out of town.
Just another lacrosse player no one cared about. Some featured music in this episode. Unfortunately, no Blues Traveler. We have Higher Mathematics by Split Habit.
Okay.
Bang Your Head by Quiet Riot.
Okay.
Noise by Low 5. At Rest by APM.
Okay.
Royal Bethlehem by APM. You Do To Me by Paul Richard. Peace of Mind by Boston.
Classic.
Oh, yeah. And Dancing on a Wire by Key Grip.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about the famous the man with a hook for a hand.
Yeah.
I mean is that you? I know what you did last summer. Is that Hook Hand Man?
Yes, that's that one. And like you just such like an iconic like image too, and it's like there have been parodies of references, right? Like the Hookman thing is in so many things. I think, and like The Simpsons.
Yeah,
and, I mean that was riffing on the I Know What You Did Last Summer, but even that was like based on other stuff.
Well, The Simpsons was before the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies.
Was it?
Yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer came up like in the 90s, mid 90s to late 90s.
But I thought it was I thought they made a joke about the phrase I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I mean, they may have at some point, but I don't think it was the origin for the. Are you talking about the Sea Captain?
Maybe.
Who are you talking about?
Isn't it the Treehouse of Horror episode where they kill Flanders, where they run him over?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize that was a hook hand. I thought you were just referring to the captain.
Oh, no. Not just that character.
Oh.
There's like a specific I Know What You Did Last Summer riff on one of the Treehouse of Horror ones where they run over Flanders.
Oh, yeah, because yes, I forgot to put the fog lights on. And then yes. I do remember that one now. Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm like, I Know What You Did Last Summer came out in 1997. I was like,
oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, not that long ago. I mean, maybe. Let's not shred. Don't tread on me. Don't do it.
It was pretty long ago.
No, it's not. We don't need to have that conversation. But otherwise, like, I think, my only real knowledge of it is I Know What You Did Last Summer. And then I don't know if I have any other real, like, I don't think it was available in any other sort of, like, media that when I was growing up, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very like popular sort of urban legend, though.
Yeah, for sure. It's just not one that I wasn't that privy to it. It made sense that it was, but I wonder where it actually came from. I wonder if there was like a hook hand man that killed somebody at some point.
I can tell you.
Oh well, how about before we get into our thoughts on today's episode, we open up Dad's journal and learn some of the real world lore about today's monster.
That's right. Let's see what the lore says about the hook.
Hook. Where's the hook? Hook.
Rufio.
Oh.
Yeah, so the hook, like we said, it's an American urban legend. It's a killer with a pirate-style hook hand, is the vague bit about it. It's the funny thing about this legend is it's not only about the monster.
Yeah.
It's also about the circumstance. The legend usually involves a couple out for a drive or part somewhere romantic, one of those like lovers' lanes kind of things.
Whenever you hear lovers' lanes, I just think of the pornography store from I think it's like in Michigan or something.
Go on.
It's like an adult store, but the commercials used to be on when I was a kid all the time.
Okay.
Lovers' lane. Yeah. It also just sounds like another name for an asshole.
Oh no.
No, let's do it in the lover's lane.
Yeah, it's my birthday. But yeah, the legend is not only about this guy with a hook hand, it's always like it's like a couple out like at makeout point or something like that.
Yeah.
And often in the legends they like hear about an escaped lunatic or something like that, like on the radio. It's like such like a relatively modern setup.
Oh, like that PT.
No, we can't. We're not talking about PT right now. Some versions of the story have the hook like scratch the side of the car or kill the people inside, or sometimes the hook is left like hanging on the door or like in the car or stuff like that. Yeah. So there are some variations. It's believed to have first spread in the 50s, but it's possible that it was based on like real life lovers' lane murders from one in particular was a set of murders called the Texarkana Moonlight Murders that happened in 1946. At the time, they called this killer the Phantom Slayer, and they never fully solved it. They're pretty sure they know who it was now, but
he's such a nice guy that they didn't feel like taking him down.
Yeah, you know, who's going to run the basketball team? Yeah. But so it were these killings that took place in the Texarkana area.
Yeah.
8 people were attacked. 5 of them were killed. They were all couples. 3 of them took place in cars on like back lanes and stuff like that. So the first set, they were attacked, but they survived. The second set were killed. The third set were killed. And then the fourth ones took place like at a house, not the usual setup for the Hookman, but the fact that 3 of these attacks happened that way, and like the nothing about those murders had anything to do with a hook particularly. Some people were clubbed, some people were shot, Like that, the hook part of it isn't part of it, but the lover's lane thing, the couple out late at night on a back road, and then this crazy guy attacks them. That bit is the thing that seems to have become part of the legend. I actually couldn't find where the hook portion came from, other than it being scary.
I mean, yeah, I'd be curious, if there was like were hook hands a thing? Like,
well, I mean, possibly. I mean, they must come from somewhere. They probably weren't as prevalent as we've made them.
Yeah, because I feel like every other pirate had one. Right?
Yeah,
just seems also like impractical. Like, it seems like a good defense mechanism, maybe, but like, also you just snag it on anything, and I would feel like it would just pop out.
I think the problem in general with the pirate hook is how sharp it is.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's one thing to have a hook to help you climb stuff or things like that, but like, it doesn't need to be that sharp.
It
that feels like it's more of a hindrance than a help.
It feels more like a danger to the pirate than it is to anybody else.
Yeah, right.
Like, he's in the bathroom and quickly trying to get out, and it's like just one wrong move.
Could you imagine a real sharp hook like that in just a porcelain tub? That's not going to help anybody.
No, it's true. Oh God, it'll scratch that.
You got no purchase, and you're going to ruin your tub.
I mean, more importantly, yeah.
I will say that the first known publication of the story was in a Dear Abby column.
What?
In 1960. So like a full almost 10 years after they believed this urban legend started being spread, someone like wrote into a Dear Abby and said, I don't know if this is true, and spelled out basically
the
legend of the hook. But yeah, it's a very like popular American urban legend, like we said, basis for some horror films and stuff like that. It's very iconic imagery. And there's sort of like layers of references to it now, because now a lot of things feel like they're referencing I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yes.
But even that is based on this.
The hook, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we get into the episode, there's just a couple behind-the-scenes information that I found was kind of interesting. So this episode was originally set to air after episode number 2, Wendigo. However, Eric Kripke felt that the episode wasn't scary enough, so he allowed director David Jackson more time to build in some more scares by bumping it down the schedule. Also, Kim Manners was also asked to come in and work as a co-director on the episode, as the original director had troubles getting those scares across. So
interesting.
Yeah. So they really wanted to make this a real scary episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe because it is such a classic sort of American horror story.
Well, and and so this episode was based on sort of the Hook Killer and the Lover's Lane Killer. That's the sort of two piece for this.
Yeah, they're probably also talking about that, like Texarkana Moonlight Murders. Yeah.
And no surprise, this is season 1. This is one of Eric Kripke's least favorite episodes.
Yeah, I mean, he's generally sort of forsaken season 1, I think. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, why don't we jump in?
All right,
let's do the Hook Man.
Oh my God.
The Hook! I was going, Hook Man, hooking people with that hand.
I like yours better. That was good.
Save me. The man's coming to get me. All right. Let's get into this. We got Survivor's still on as a that's the world's toughest race.
Yeah. We're also watching an ad.
Yes, we're watching this on Prime. All right, obviously. What a big surprise. Starting with the death of his mom.
Yeah, I mean, we basically, we end up even by now, I think we've seen Mary Winchester die more than Thomas and Martha Wayne.
We've seen Mary Winchester die more than we saw Green Lantern's dad die in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, she's died more than Uncle Ben. She's died more than Martha Wayne.
Absolutely. All right, getting into the episode, we start at Theta Sorority in Eastern Iowa University.
That's right. I mean, this sort of like the Greek life thing doesn't really fully exist in Canada the way it does.
Not at all.
There might technically be some fraternities and sororities, but it's not. Even the ones that exist aren't like that conception.
No.
American culture and TV.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, Eastern Iowa University doesn't actually exist. But in reality, it is Eastern Iowa Community College.
Oh, okay.
Located in Davenport, Iowa. Eastern Iowa University is a fictional location created by sci-fi author Stephen Bury.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it was a thing that he just had written somewhere, and they were sort of playing off of that.
So we've got these girls, they're roommates, and the one's obviously getting ready for a date, and the other one's like, "Oh, damn, girl, he's not gonna know what hit him." Like she's trying to look nice, but you could tell that her roommate is more like, "So you're gonna fuck him, right?" And she's like, "Well, I just want to see if he's nice."
Yes.
Like, this is supposed to be a nice date.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to like a...
And then immediately smash cut to a truck parking under a bridge.
Yes.
Even right after I said it was supposed to be a nice date.
Exactly. We're at 9 Mile Road under a bridge. It's nighttime. 4x4 pulls up, and we see Lori and her guy, Rich.
Douchey name.
Yeah, I think I like something about this guy.
No.
Apparently, Jared Padalecki and Brian Scala, the guy who plays Rich, played buddies in Gilmore Girls.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So they start to kiss. Not Jared Padalecki and Brian Scala.
Oh.
If only.
I'm going to start doing fan fiction episodes.
That's the Patreon. So they start to kiss, but Lori's phone rings. It's her dad, so she doesn't pick up, and she continues to kiss. Rich tries to put his hands under Lori's top.
Like, it was so awkwardly.
Oh, God.
He's like fingering the strap of her shirt. This is painful.
Yeah, it's really not good. Also, so like watching this with like a 2020 perspective, I'm just like, ugh.
I mean, listen. College, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, but like, don't take a date under a fucking bridge.
Yeah,
doesn't matter if everyone's into it or whatever.
Also, it's one thing to like make a move get turned down, but then he goes for it again, and she's like, seriously,
yeah,
stop.
she does like shut it down, and he's like, but maybe,
yeah,
not too maliciously, but it is definitely like a come on, man.
Yeah.
But then they hear this scratch.
Yes.
And they both are kind of like, what is that? You see the shot of the street signs, and they've got this big long scratch on them. And of course, fucking the smartest man at East Iowa University gets out of the goddamn car to look around.
I know.
And just this sort of magical scratch shows up on the side of the truck. You don't see what's making it, but you see it being made.
Yes, exactly. So they attacks the car, and then we hear Lori locks herself in and screams. After a while, and when everything's gone silent, Lori gets out of the car.
Well, she's like, Rich. It's like classic horror thing.
Yeah.
There are some very it's very sort of iconic. Like,
It's funny in anything else, like you would be like, oh god, like this is so like cliche, but it's like it's intentionally cliche in this. Like,
I mean, the cliches exist for a reason, right? There is something suspenseful about like, you know, like, who is this guy? Like, you say, like, well, why doesn't she just drive away? It's like, but if something is happening to him, she probably also wants him to be okay, right? Like, she has a conscience. She's a good person. She doesn't want to just abandon him if he's getting mugged or whatever's happening. But then, yes, you hear more of that sort of scraping and stuff like that. And I think does the scraping come through the car, or does she get out? I can't remember.
I don't think it does. I think
you're definitely waiting for something to punch through, though. Like, it's shot like at any minute now.
Because nothing happens, so she gets out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then that's when she sees blood pooling.
Yeah, she looks up and
sees him hanging right above the
Rich hanging from that bridge. By his feet, by the way, but he's basically, he's bleeding out. He's dead.
He's cut across.
Yeah.
Not good for him.
Bad date.
Yeah, not good. I mean, yeah, she survived. I mean, it's not that bad. But so Dean and Sam we're outside of a cafe. It's the daytime. Dean and Sam are making inquiries about their dad.
Yep.
And Sam gets off of a public telephone. So a public telephone was a thing that used to exist.
I know so many of these things. I mean, the fact
it's old tech alert.
At least they have a laptop. I gotta love Dean's decals on this laptop.
The tribal like tattoos
with the
and,
skull.
And
stuff.
God, yeah, they've had that one. They have this one for a while.
Dean. I know he's a classic rock guy, but he would listen to Stone Temple Pilots.
1,000,000%. He gets off the payphone, and Dean shows him a newspaper clipping of an invisible attack on a car in Iowa, and they decide that they need to investigate. There's a comment they make about the Invisible Man. If you don't know, the Invisible Man is a science fiction novella by H.G. Wells, first published in 1897. The story tells of the tale of a scientist named Griffin, who learns the secret to invisibility. However, he fails to learn how to reverse the process.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Invisible Man, the newer movie?
I did. It's the
good.
the scariest shit ever.
So good, though.
It's so suspenseful.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. So now we're going back to Eastern Iowa University.
Well, yeah. Now, this is where Dean can come alive. There's
frat boys.
There's frat guys to pal around with, and sorority
Underage girls,
and sorority girls. They're not underage, but they're too young for him.
Yes, because even then, and even I think he's supposed
Dean
to be
is meant to be 26 or 27 at this point.
Too old.
Which is that's weird.
That's too old.
Yeah,
absolutely. So they arrive and pose as frat brothers from out of state. They ask for a room in the frat house and put him with a guy named Murph.
Yeah, this guy is painting
Purple Man.
He's painting himself for the big game or whatever's happening.
Yeah, he's known as Purple Man.
We had a guy like that at my university.
Really?
Yeah. We had a guy like that would paint himself up for games, which is.
Oh, I thought you were going to
funny.
say we had a guy who painted himself up. It was a really sad story. He would just kind of show up to class
The engineering faculty also used to do it too to all of the first years. They'd all get dyed purple. It wouldn't come out of their skin for a week.
Oh my God.
That was part of their sort of engineering initiation thing.
Sounds real cool.
Yeah. Well, engineers, right?
I mean, yeah, there you go. Just because they got a fucking ring on their thumb, they think they're cool. So they're meeting.
I love it. Sorry, I love that he makes Sam get his bag.
Yes.
Dean sits down and Sam's just painting this guy while they're asking him questions.
And they ask him about the killings, and he tells them tell them Rich was his girlfriend Lori Stenson the night he died, and he also says that Lori is the local reverend's daughter. They're real creepy about being attracted to her.
Yeah. Well, again, that was the setup in that first scene too with Lori and her roommate, which is that she's this very good girl, wants to go on a nice date. So we cut to the church. We see the preacher. I know this actor. He's in everything.
He's great.
He's one of those if you watch enough TV shows, he's there.
Yeah, he's great. I always like that actor. He plays
I have to look this up. It's
overbearing guy really well. Because he plays a good either overbearing dad or a soldier.
Yeah, definitely.
He's really good at being tough. So Reverend Sorensen, Lori's dad, is giving Rich's service. When Dean and Sam walk in, they wait and talk to Lori afterwards. They ask questions. Sam tells her that he knows how she feels to see someone hurt. Just as the broadest statement of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
I've also seen someone hurt.
Oh, right. So this guy. Oh. I know where I really know.
They also
him
make
from.
a reality bites thing which is also hilarious.
This guy is the shock jock from Frasier.
Oh my God, that's who that is?
That's who it is.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Bulldog?
Yeah, he's Bulldog.
Holy.
That's who he is. I knew it. I knew him.
Wow.
That's the Reverend.
That's insane.
Right? He was also in Silence of the Lambs and Enemy of the State, all sorts of stuff.
A bunch of things that are very different than Bulldog.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's insane. So Sam tells them he knows how she feels. Lori introduces them to her dad. Dean distracts the Reverend while Sam asks Lori more about what happened. She says she must have been seeing things and that no one believes her.
Yeah, which is, this becomes such a classic thing of the show, right? People know they saw it, but then they convince themselves they didn't because otherwise they're going to be
crazy,
looked at as insane.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so weird to see him as that's all I can think of.
You're only seeing Bulldog.
And being
like
I
know.
A dirtbag.
Yeah, Dean says we're looking for a church group. He starts chatting up the Reverend, and it's come on, Dean. This also becomes a recurring thing, which is if there's an undercover assignment, I think these guys are the worst at. It's undercover in a church group.
Yes. I think
Dean doesn't even pretend to give a shit.
Sam could pull it off, I think, if he wanted to, but Dean, there's no possible way.
It happens more than once, and Dean's just so bad at it.
It's just I want some fucking churchness or something.
Let's get the faith all up in here.
Yeah, so they go to a library next. The filming location is the British Columbia Institute of Technology.
Nice.
That's where they're doing this. Sam and Dean talk about the Hookman legend, and look at arrest records all the way back to 1851. Mm-hmm. Sam finds a case where a preacher named Jacob Carnes, who had lost his hand in an accident, murdered 13 prostitutes in 1862 with a silver hook he wore on his stump. It all happened on 9 Mile Road where Rich was killed.
That's right.
Holy.
Yeah. So this one is obviously we're taking inspiration from that idea of the Lover's Lane thing, but we're giving it something deeper. Because, I mean, I could have talked about this too, but the idea of like maniacal spirit of old preacher is also a very like classic American horror thing. This episode's sort of fusing those two things together a little bit, right? Like maniacal preacher and this sort of like hook hand thing. With some sort of, that we haven't learned yet, obsession with these young couples.
Yeah.
He's got an agenda. A spirit, like all spirits do. There's a reason, that the thing that motivates them, the thing that they've stuck around for, or that they've latched onto because they've stuck around.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in a lot of what comes up in this episode is a lot. I mean, because we're at a school where we start bringing up a bunch of the stuff about Sam coming from university.
Yeah.
And sort of Dean's throwing a lot of cheap shots throughout the whole episode about this because he's clearly got some thoughts about it. So we get outside of the university. Laurie's arguing with her dad in a car. He wants her to live at home, but she tells him no. She's old enough to make her own choices and goes back to her dorm. Basically,
this and her dad like doesn't like her roommate. It's
yes.
As if he watched that first scene, he was like, I know she's DTF.
Yeah.
Don't want that rubbing off on you.
Exactly. So she heads to her room where her roommate is already asleep. So to avoid disturbing her, Laurie gets ready for bed in the dark. A thing that she will regret doing.
Well, yes, of course, right? I mean, the idea of this sorority house, she says there's 22 girls that live in there. Like,
how many rooms are...
What a massive house. That's a thing that does not exist up here.
It's
you know
like
what I mean? Even if everyone in a house was in a sorority, they called it a quote-unquote sorority house. There's no such thing up here as, here's just a house for the sorority. No. There are 40 rooms to let out or whatever.
Like, even if you cut that in half.
Fucking old plantation mansions or whatever the hell they are.
Well, exactly. So we're back on 9 Mile Road under the bridge. An interesting fact, this is the first time that we get to see the spotlight on, or the last time I think we get to see the spotlight on the car.
I don't recall seeing that tool used after this, right? The spotlight sort of mounted on Sam's on the passenger window there.
Well, exactly, and I'm pretty sure it definitely doesn't show up in any of the other seasons. I think this might
because it's not cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, Sam and Dean are here to check it out. So
absolutely,
they're talking about what to do to take out the spirit. They got their rock salt shotguns, of course.
But this is the first time using salt bullets. They talk about it.
Is this the first time?
Yep. So because they're having this whole conversation of like it won't kill them, but it'll slow them down, and they're saying that it's the thing that Dean they claim that Dean and their dad came up with.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with these hunters, they don't necessarily talk to each other a bunch. So I think a lot of people, quote unquote, invent the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was invented for Supernatural by writers Ron Milbauer and Terry Hughes Burton. Eric Kripke agreed to it and was saying it was the perfect combination of a cult element. Salt is folkloric repellent of evil, and the blue collar aspect with the shotguns. Yeah. Back in 1977, though, rock salt and a rock salt shotgun were used in the Doctor Who episode Image of Fendal, written by Chris Boucher. Rock salt was used to kill the psychonetic Fendaline.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so Sam and Dean think they hear something, and it's the fucking sheriff that comes out and he's like, "Put your guns down," because they've got these fucking shotguns out. So they have to get on their knees, hands up, like they're being brought in by the sheriff. We cut back to the sorority house,
Laurie and
Taylor's room, and we
get to the next morning.
Yeah.
And Laurie awakens to find her roommate dead in the bed in a pool of blood.
Yeah, it's pretty gruesome.
Yeah, there's a message on the wall in blood that says, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" Underneath is a symbol made up of crosses. The message is in reference to an old urban legend entitled "The Roommate's Death."
Wow, so many things like blended together in this episode, eh?
Totally. There's a lot of sort of references to stuff, especially in
I
this
think that's
first season.
something that this first season does well, though, is sort of stitching together various things to make kind of new, more interesting versions of them.
So
right?
Yes, absolutely. So after that, they go to the police station. Dean has told the sheriffs that Sam was just a dumbass pledge and that they were hazing him. The sheriff believes the story and lets them go. He has a sentence where he goes, "Saved your ass. Talk to the sheriff down to a fine. Dude, I'm Matlock." So if anybody doesn't know, Ben Matlock is an attorney played by Andy Griffith in the TV show Matlock.
Matlock!
Suddenly, the cops come running out of the police station and speed off to their cars. Sam and Dean follow and find a new crime scene. Lori is there, and the cops think she is somehow involved because you're at both crime scenes.
I mean, this... Not every episode does it this way. I mean, they always find their way to the new crime scene.
Yeah.
But this was such a good setup of like, well, they were already at the station. Then they see the cops.
Exactly.
This is maybe more natural than it is in most episodes for how they stumble from crime scene to crime scene.
For sure.
I think that bit is pretty well written. Although I will say, so far, the thing that you talked about like the directors not feeling like they got the scares in is like, that second murder isn't scary because you don't see it at all.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
It's just you just see the aftermath.
Yeah.
The first scene is scary, so I wonder if like that, like they were like, we need to make the first scene scarier. Like I wonder if the first scene was originally also not that scary.
Well, yeah, because the thing is they probably can't show like this like actual like stabbing of a teenage kid. I don't know. So they have to just basically show a setup and then the death.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe that has something to do with it because it's like with the hook.
It could be, but last episode you got to see all that fucking gross shape-shifting. They didn't really care about that.
Yeah, because I think it's specifically...
it's not a murder, I guess.
I think it's about using a tool to murder somebody that might be something not for like what their PG rating is.
Right.
Would be my guess.
So at any rate, the cops are there. The dad comes to get Lori, the Reverend... Sam and Dean sneak around the back to try and get into the crime scene.
This is when
even though the cops are still there, like even if they get in the house, I'm not sure what their plan is from here.
Yes.
This isn't the most thought out. But again, first season, they're young. They haven't mastered this yet.
We get a line from Dean that's sorority girls think we'll see a naked pillow fight, and then the creepiest like this is what I like to call hashtag dirtbag Dean.
He is dirtbag Dean.
We're gonna see a bit of this. I mean, you definitely like in later seasons you get less and less of this, but first season's definitely a little bit of hashtag dirtbag Dean.
Yeah, but I mean, I think Dean has a similar arc in some ways to Joey from Friends, where they were like, he's the ladies' man.
Yes.
And back then they were like, that means thinking about poon.
Yes.
And then over time it was like, no, he's like the quiet, dependable friend. Like he kind of has a Joey Tribbiani thing over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But with that reference, they were sort of talking about the National Lampoon's, they were referencing the National Lampoon's Animal House, where there's a scene, the character Bluto, played by John Belushi, gets to see some sorority girls naked in a pillow fight.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know if that starts in Animal House or not, but Animal House definitely is like one of those like iconic kind of frat sorority sort of pieces of pop culture, right? Up there with later things like Old School or, yeah.
Exactly. So the guys find the message. They snuck into the sorority house. They see the message on the wall, and they can smell that it's definitely a spirit.
Yeah, they say they're smelling ozone, which you actually can smell.
Yeah,
as ozone is a different.
It's a thing I don't know if it ever comes up ever again, but
I don't think it does. That's why I said it, because I was like, oh man, I don't think they ever say ozone again. But they see this symbol on the wall and they go back to like the notes and stuff that they had found, and it's the same symbol that's on this drawing of this like hook. So they have to go find where this Jacob Carnes was buried, because that's your classic how do you deal with spirit, right?
So that the symbol that they find is called a Jerusalem cross.
Yeah.
The Jerusalem cross, also known as the five-fold cross or cross and crosslets, is a heraldic cross and a Christian cross variant consisting of a large cross potent surrounding by four smaller Greek crosses, one in each quadrant. It was used as an emblem in the coat of arms of the Kingdom of Jerusalem back in the 1280s. There are variants to the design, also known as the Jerusalem cross, but either the four crosslets, also in the form of the cross's potent, or conversely with the central cross also in the form of a plain Greek cross. It is not to be confused with the Lorraine cross, which is also to be called the Jerusalem cross.
Yeah, but I mean, all of this to say, we're doubling down on religious fanaticism,
Yes.
right? This guy is old school religious. If we're talking about, we're going straight to Jerusalem, like that kind of imagery, and that we're like, this guy clearly has like a thing. Like,
Yeah.
he must be very like puritanical or whatever. Sam and Dean start talking about like connection to Laurie, because Laurie's been at both of these crimes but hasn't been hurt. Who's someone crazy religious and uptight, and, and they go like, the Reverend? And then they think that maybe the Reverend is summoning the spirit of Jacob Carnes to basically attack the people who are like threats to the purity of his daughter. Essentially, that's the working theory that they come up with based on this evidence of like Laurie has been fined at 2 crime scenes. Both of these other people were like, one was trying to make out with her, the other was this like roommate that, you know, hooked up a lot or whatever. They know the dad is religious, and they know that this spirit has this tie to like intense old school religion.
Exactly. But they're at this university party, and even Dean's just like, this is what you did this whole time? And he's like, no, I was in the room like studying the whole time.
Yeah, Sam was a good student.
Yeah.
Sam has like the willpower and the focus to not be at a party all the time.
Exactly. So Dean goes to find the Hookman's unmarked grave, because they find out based on an article that he was buried in an unmarked grave.
Which does not make that job easy.
No, definitely not. While Sam goes to keep an eye on Laurie.
Do they find it because of the same symbol? I'm trying to think ahead of this episode a little bit here. I feel like maybe the unmarked grave has the Jerusalem cross on it or something?
Yeah, it does. While Dean's searching, he feels like he's being watched, but he finds a marked grave with the symbol that was carved on the bedroom and begins digging, making the quip, next time I get to watch the cute girl's house.
Oh, Dean.
And his spade hits the coffin.
Dean, you scamp.
It's just a ladies' man. He can't help it. So back at Laurie's house.
So Sam is monitoring Laurie's house. He sees her.
Just creepily looking through a window.
He is like, he's not like even like posted up or hiding, so he's just standing in the fucking street looking at their window.
Well, exactly. He sees her arguing with her dad through the window, and the light goes out, and Laurie joins Sam out on the porch.
That's right. This is definitely, I mean, the show is right, but Dean might be the quote-unquote ladies' man, but Sam is more attractive if you are a woman, because he's not a douchebag.
I think personality-wise.
That's what I mean.
In this first season,
that's what I mean. Personality-wise.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. Listen, I'm never going to make a case for Sam over Dean from a physical perspective.
So Laurie,
except for that one bit, but we'll get there. That's years from now.
Yeah, let's not even talk about things that we'll never get to. So Sam joins Laurie, so Laurie joins Sam, and he tells her that he's been watching because he's worried about her.
Yeah.
And we go back to the cemetery. Dean salt and burns Jacob Carnes' bones and says the line, "Goodbye, preacher."
I love that Dean, Dean has a love for like old school action and stuff like that, but I love that he's always got a one-liner.
Absolutely. Back at Laurie's house, Laurie tells Sam that she just found out her dad is having an affair with a married woman, and she's obviously upset, saying he's a hypocrite and is going against God. Yeah. She hugs Sam and then goes to kiss him. After a moment, Sam pulls away and says he can't. Yeah. He's never kissed a woman before.
No.
I don't know how.
To be fair, his girlfriend did just die 7 weeks ago.
So what's that's like 6 weeks enough
long,
time? Yeah.
I mean, but the big thing about this scene is that this pokes the hole in their theory that it's the Reverend summoning the ghost. Because if he's also quote unquote impure, then that's sort of I think it starts to be like, I don't know, maybe something else is happening here.
And so Laurie's dad comes out and calls out to her suddenly when the Hookman just suddenly appears behind the dad, attacks him from behind. That's a scary moment. I mean, that
is a legitimate scare in this episode because it's not been the setup of the other ones.
No.
Like, we're having this very nice moment actually outside, and then for it to shift so quickly and for it to be like multiple witnesses and stuff like that. That hasn't been the case with the previous.
Such a, look at that friggin',
do you know that that injury with the hook, like through the meat of like your what is that? Your deltoid or whatever?
Oh,
No, not your deltoid. That's your trap. Like right through the trap muscle there.
like clavicle?
No,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah.
trapezius. That and in the Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows, that happens to him. He gets the meat hook through that pit.
Oh.
That is one of those injuries that I just like. I feel it like in my bones when I see it on TV.
I do not like that at all.
So yeah, he like this. The Reverend gets like hooked and dragged through the house. Sam shows up with his rock salt shotgun. He saves the preacher. We can pretty conclusively rule him out as the guy running the ghost show here. But it also means that what Dean didn't take.
Yeah.
Dean salted and burned the bones. There shouldn't have been a spirit at all.
Absolutely. The Hookman vanishes, and now we go to the hospital. Lori's dad is being tended to. Sam tells the sheriff about the Hookman, leaving out the fact that he's a ghost. Dean,
Yes, yeah, as you do.
Yeah. Dean arrives, and they talk. Sam wants to know why Dean didn't burn the bones, because the Hookman is still around. Dean says he did, and they realize that they need to find and destroy the original hook.
Now, is this the first time that we start talking about a haunted object in the show?
I think so. Yeah.
Because we've encountered a ghost of sorts before.
Yep.
Ghosts of sorts before. But this is they were more tied to places, right? We had the water spirit. We had the woman in white.
Yeah.
This is the first time that this is like a spirit attached to a thing. And even when you salt and burn their bones, that is now the thing anchoring them to
Exactly.
this plane of existence.
Exactly. So they realize that the Hookman has latched onto Lori, not her dad. Dean makes a comment, remind me not to piss the girl off,
Yeah.
which is a fair assessment.
But yeah, I don't think they don't assume Lori is making it happen, but they're convinced that the spirit has an attachment to Lori.
Absolutely.
At every turn, the spirit has been going after impure people around Lori.
Exactly. Yeah.
So-
So the brothers researched prison records at the library. They're back at the library and find the hook was sent back to the church when Carnes was executed for murder in 1862. Lori's dad's church. Sam finds the hook when was then reforged by the church, but it doesn't say into what.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, this is like the unmarked grave thing. Now they have to like go to the church and look for like anything. I think the hook is made of silver, I think they say.
Yeah, I think so.
So they're looking for like anything silver, so they're like, maybe this has some of the hook
Yes.
in it. Like, it's such like a crazy needle in a haystack sort of scenario for them, because like the spirit is going to attack again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially because it didn't finish the job with the dad.
That's true too. Yeah. So they get to the church. A fun thing to look for is when Sam enters the church looking for the object to which the murdering spirit is tied to. He passes a bulletin board with the phrase "reaping with joy" on it.
Oh god.
Yeah. So Sam and Dean arrive and search for anything silver. They toss everything that is into the furnace at the church. There's a noise upstairs, and when they check to find it, it's Lori.
Anything that even looked silver.
Yeah.
Is what they say. They're just throwing a bunch of fucking like pots and stuff into the fire.
Sam stays with her while Dean goes back to finish the melting of the silver. Lori blames herself for the Hookman's appearance and is crying, which is building resentment towards herself, which will summon the Hookman.
Yeah, she is convinced that she is being haunted, which is technically true in a sense, but yeah, then she basically feels negatively about herself, and it's going to basically set the spirit on her, which is a crazy little twist.
Funny thing about the silver, though, silver doesn't burn. So according to the show's lore, burning something silver would have have the same effect as reforging in the first place.
Well, that's true. If it was see, you're right. Oh, interesting.
It's a thing that comes up a few times in this show where they just burn it. And I'm wondering if like...
It would be so simple to just be like, throw salt in the fire as well. And it'd be like, this is a special combination.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is funny. I was just thinking like, well, fire is purifying fire, but I completely forgot about the reforging piece that was in there. Yeah, that's interesting, actually.
Yeah. So Sam tries to console her, but the Hookman appears again and attacks them. They run, and Sam tries to protect Lori, but gets hooked through the arm. Ugh. Yeah, I know. Anytime that the hook attacks, it's just...
This is a not bad little scary scene. You know, you got the candles blowing out. You got them running through this fucking church. You got all this kind of creepy imagery and these stained glass things. The Hook guys breaking glass and stuff. Like, it's not a bad little thing, but it's definitely the scariest moment in this whole episode is the dad getting hooked. Definitely, because it's just it's so unexpected.
Well, exactly, right? I wonder what they had to do to add in some more scary scenes.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, God. Yeah, not good. So,
fucking bookcase falls on Sam.
Jeez. Dean arrives on scene and shoots the Hook man with salt again. He vanishes and they realize the silver from the hook has yet to be melted. It's a cross on Laurie's neck.
Yeah.
A church heirloom given to her by her father. Dean takes the cross to melt and gives Sam the shotgun.
Yeah, it's just one of the like, where did you get that chain? And she's like, oh, I was like, Dad,
why did you say that name?
Dad said it was a church heirloom. And they're like, well, thank you. This is it. This is your ghost.
Yeah, remember that silver thing we were looking for? Thanks. Oh,
This is pretty good. So like we saw in the first bit with the invisible kind of hook dragging along the car, we get this along the walls now.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
I love that. I think that's a great look.
The invisibility is less of a thing with this spirit. Like, sometimes he shows up, you can see him. Sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
But I think in a way that's almost more scary than just be like, we know this thing is invisible, because it's like, well, you can just decide.
I mean, that's a thing that comes out later in the series, is that ghosts like it's for them to form. It's a lot more work than it is for them to be invisible.
It's an effort to like physically
manifest.
Like
typically, like they can move things before they can form. So
yes.
So it makes sense that he's able to do stuff before actually showing himself.
Yeah, exactly. So they
reform the silver.
They do melt this thing down.
And it melts the hook.
Pretty cool effect. And then, of course, the spirit burns out.
Yes, exactly.
Because we've abandoned that weird effect from the pilot with the weird and the time cop jelly monster thing.
That thing was the craziest thing ever. What an insane effect. I really like the sort of like burning away thing. I think that's
I think it looked good. I think the combination of your now sort of standard ghosts burn kind of thing, and the melting hook that's a fun little effect. I think it looks good.
Absolutely. So the next, now we're in the daylight. Sam is getting his arm tended to by paramedics while Dean spins a yarn to the sheriff. Laurie is there and thanks Sam. Dean gets in the Impala and watches. He knows Sam likes Laurie. As they get into the car, he says, like, we could stay.
Well, yeah, when Dean's talking to the sheriff, he basically says, like, yeah, the hook hand guy got away, but we fought him off, but he got away. And the sheriff's like, did he? And he's like, yep.
Yep. Yeah, then, we killed him, but then he got away. I think he flew. He may have went into the ground. I'm not sure.
Yeah, the sheriff's like, you and your brother need to get out of town. He's like, yep, okay.
Yep, 100%. He's like, I still think it's you guys, but you're too fun to pull into
you
jail.
Little scamps.
Yeah, all boys will be boys, right?
Yeah, we get the classic, Sam. You gotta say that I gotta go. And I'm sorry.
It's rare that we get the Dean with the girl at the end. It's usually Sam.
It is very rare.
It's usually Sam with the girl, even though he can never make anything happen. Dean can always make it happen, but never gets the girl at the end.
But Dean doesn't care that much.
Yeah, he really isn't.
He's more of a Lothario.
That's right.
Yeah.
What a badass. So cool.
Yeah, so cool. It's 2005.
Yeah. So, yeah, he says, like, we could stay, and Sam just shakes his head. And they ride off once again into the sun because Sam's got other stuff on his mind.
Well, I mean, they still gotta find their fucking dad.
It's true. and the Impala drives away.
I mean, I do love occasionally when you can tell that this is like small town BC.
I mean, that's classic with this show in general, is that constantly I'm seeing like things that I'm like, oh yeah, that I've been there. I've been there.
I love that though. It is kind of fun.
I do.
It's less obvious than it is in other CW shows. Like you watch enough Arrow or The Flash, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I know where that is."
Yes, it's really only when like they go to like a major, like a big city.
Big city.
That's usually when you start telling that it's downtown Vancouver.
Oh, I won't talk about it. But there's an episode that's supposed to be a very particular city in a later season. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Vancouver.
Oh, but it's still Vancouver.
Yeah,
100%. So. That is the end of Hookman. Hooking people with your hand.
Save me. Wow.
Episode number 7.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? I feel like monster-wise, this episode's pretty solid.
Great monster. Good scare level.
I think the episode is better crafted than a couple of... it's definitely better than the previous episode. It's better than Skin.
Yeah.
It moves at a better pace.
Yeah. It's
There's
an
a
easy
couple
to
of-
understand
There's
monster.
a couple of good scares. We apparently get the introduction of rock salt in this one.
Yeah.
We also get the introduction of a haunted object.
Yep.
So there's
Some good lore
there's
pieces
some
in this.
good lore pieces that I might not have appreciated at the time, but now I'm like, oh great, that's good foundational sort of stuff in there.
100%.
I do think the casting of fucking Bulldog
Is hilarious.
he's great as the preacher, but I
Can't get it out of my head
can't
now.
get it out of my head. Yeah, that idea too of that puritanical religious
Yeah.
thing, very iconic in horror. Like I think there's a lot of stuff that just naturally makes this episode work. I still
sure.
don't know that I consider this one of the stronger ones, but it's fun to watch.
It's a good hook at the end. The switch at the end when you realize it's the daughter and not the...
Yeah, I mean, that is something this episode does really well, which any good mystery should, right? It
Yeah.
should lead you to like, oh, it could only be this, and then you're like, oh, and now he gets attacked too, and there's one little wrinkle or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's partly why that moment is so scary.
Yes.
So there's a thing, I think there's a lot to be commended in this episode. I think another strong suit of this episode is it doesn't get too bogged down in Sam and Dean.
Yeah.
Sam and Dean in this first season, because it's like, well, we haven't worked together in so long. It's like, you left us. And like, where's Dad? There's so much of that shit in this season. And this episode, most of that's on the back burner. It's actually a little bit more fun because Dean is like pillow fight, and then he's in a fucking graveyard. And then he's like, watch the girl's house, and he's like doing something else.
He's just being a scamp.
It's kind of more fun.
Yeah.
Sam has some like connection to college and stuff like that, but it's not like about Sam being in college like
No.
Skin was.
Yeah.
So like I think this episode actually corrects some of the mistakes of Skin, not
Totally.
getting too bogged down in that drama stuff. I'm going to give this episode, we just do 0.5s. We haven't broken it down more than that yet. Hey,
I mean, I don't think so. I mean,
no, I've written it down. We haven't yet.
how many hooks?
I'm going to give this 3.75 hooks.
Oh, so you're bringing in some quarters.
I'm doing it because I don't want to give it a 4 because I'm looking at other things that I've given 4s to, and I don't think they're there. I don't think this is as good as like Phantom Traveler or Dead in the Water or even The Pilot.
Oh, wow. That's interesting, too, because
I
my
think
mind
I'm giving
was...
this a 3. No, do you know what? No, I am giving it a 4.
It's a
I've
4.
changed my mind. It's definitely better than The Pilot.
Yeah,
I've given it a 4. It's a good episode. This is a good episode.
It's solid. Great monster of the week. You get some fun,
I'm concerned that I've set the bell curve too high here. Like,
I mean, especially when you know what's coming.
I think we just have to take things like as a season,
Yeah.
right? This is for this season, it's definitely 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
So I will give it a 4 as well. I mean, that's the 4 hooks for sure. Four hooks stuck inside frat boys.
Yep. 4 preacher hook frat boys.
Yeah, I think that 4 lacrosse sticks cut in half.
Yeah, a little lax.
Come on, Brody. Yeah, absolutely. This is, for me, this is just like a solid episode. You could watch it at any point, and especially because the intro always shows you what the setup for the show is.
Well, yeah.
Anybody could watch this and be like,
2 years ago.
yeah, you get it. You instantly get. You could watch the show at any point and jump right into it. It's a good monster of the week. You get a tiny bit of information, but nothing that's like anything that's. It's like a solid X-Files episode where it just like ties a little bit into the main thing, but for the most part, it's just a good monster of the week episode.
Yeah, I agree. We're definitely looking up because I mean, even that Bloody Mary episode, I think we were like, Bloody Mary and Skin were kind of dips a little bit. This one's pretty solid.
Back up, baby.
Good casting, good scares. I think it did well to take more time and get it right, because if they had just put out whatever they had and made this the 3rd episode or whatever, it probably would not have been that good.
It's true. Yeah, without a doubt. Or maybe it would have given those other 2 episodes a chance to get better. But
oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The alternate universe where we love Skin.
I don't like Hookman.
And
Yeah.
Hookman's like,
that's it for this week.
That's right.
If you have a note about maybe a future episode or something we missed in this one, you can send us an email to ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. And hit us up on social media. It's at ghostfacerspod. That's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. They're all the same.
Oh, gotta love to have
baby.
all three the same. What world is this?
Pretty nice, eh?
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. So say goodbye, bitch.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.